Hello, my name is Woody. This is Change in the House of Pods, a podcast about Deftones. That bad mamma jamma is Curse of the Serpent from Jesus Piece. My guest today is David Updike. He plays guitar in Jesus Piece, a band which you'll hear today almost all ride for Deftones. Not to be a name dropper, but initially I was talking to their vocalist, Aaron Hurd, and we exchanged a few texts, and he was like, yo, you really need to talk to Dave. So I looked him up on the gram, and I was like, yep, this is my guy. Dave's a super fun follow on Twitter and Instagram, by the way. I think you'll get an idea why as you listen today. He's got maybe the hottest take ever on one of the most popular Deftones songs, and we spend quite a bit of time talking about songwriting and recording, too. I'm always interested to hear what a musician has to say about those parts of the process, and Dave's not too far removed from it, as Jesus Piece has finished their next album. Hopefully it won't be too long before we hear it, but the first thing that caught my eye when I found Dave on Instagram was the big red white pony flag he's got hanging in his place. So that's where we begin my conversation with David Updike. I asked him about his Deftones merch.
Well, it's actually funny because I, for the longest time, I didn't have any because they're kind of hard. Like new Deftones stuff, I don't like visually for the most part. Like Diamond Eyes is kind of where I fall. Even with that stuff, I had like an old like Hot Topic Deftone, like was it cool? I forget it was Kono Yoken or like or Diamond Eyes, whatever. But I had like a, it's like Hot Topic. It was real thin, like kind of shitty, obvious, like DTG and shit. That I never wore. But then I would say like 2 or 3 years ago, I started like wanting it more, I guess. And I'll admit that most of it's like bootleg stuff. But I have like one like original Deftones stuff. But like I was never like a merch guy. But like this, the flag in the back, I was at some record store in some mall. I forget where it was. It wasn't near here. But anyways, like I was with Lewis, who drums in Jesus Piece, and John. And I think somebody else, but we lose his girlfriend or something. But they had this hanging up, and they were like, originally Lewis was like, I wonder like how much it is or whatever, and like he was kind of iffy on it, and then that turned out to be the last one, and I asked about it, I asked for it, and I ended up getting it, but he got other shit. But yeah, so I got that. I have like probably like 5 shirts. I don't have any records or like CDs or anything. It's weird, like I'm not like a physical media guy in certain senses. Like another thing I love Aphex Twin. So like I get a few like collectibles with that, but I feel like that's a little more exclusive. Whereas Deftones, it's like I would love an original like the 8-ball shit or like the karate shirt. You know what I mean? But I just like I can't justify spending like $100 on it or whatever people want for it now and shit.
Somebody put out a bootleg of the karate shirt, and I was super close.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I love that. I rocked that. I rocked that one to death when I was in college. And the other one that I've seen you wearing is the one where they're cartoons and like Abe's at the end with the knife, and it's got that like the block lettering. It's blue shirt. It's like a navy blue shirt, and it's got you got that, right?
I don't have that one, but
no.
But Jesus Piece made like a version of that. Like,
oh, really?
6 years or 7 years ago for This Is Hardcore Months. It wasn't like a pure rip, but it was like it was definitely like Aaron's homie made like a drawing of him, and I was like, oh, we should just do it like this, like that shirt. So you know what I'm saying?
Do you have that shirt? Do you? Because I've never seen that. Oh, that's
the baby shirt. No, I don't have that one either. I'm trying to think if I can find a pic of it. I can find a pic of it on video, but yeah, no, that one is like a pretty similar. But I have the karate one. I have like 2 Around the Fur shirts. I have 8-ball. I have a white pony. Like I don't know if it's like if they ever made it or if it's just someone just. But it's like the white pony has like a white line with the, just like album art. I have a hoodie that's just a straight up like not even a boot. It's just the pony embroidered really nice. and that's it. I'm trying to think what else. I feel like that's what I'm saying. It's like I have so many now that like I could probably wear a Deftones shirt every day of the week, but
Same.
I'm like,
Same. And so with the flag too, you said Lou was asking about the flag as well.
I mean,
He's also
all of us, literally every single member except for Ant, our bass player, loves Deftones.
What's wrong with Ant, man? What's wrong with Ant?
It's not hardcore. It's not hardcore or Weird Al Yankovic, so he doesn't like it.
My kid loves the Captain Underpants theme song, which is Weird Al Yankovic song. Put Ant onto that one.
Theme song.
Yeah.
Did they made? Is there like a movie now or something, or a TV show?
I think there was a movie with Kevin Hart as the lead, one of the lead kids in Captain Underpants.
Yeah, because that was a book I grew up reading, but I didn't even know there was like a video.
Yeah, Weird Al. It's a fun little song. I hear it at least 2 or 3 times a day. So the whole band, legit Deftones fans. Is that like, was that something that you guys, something that brought to, well, let's go back even further than that. When did you get into Deftones?
So that's actually because when you asked me this, I was trying to think of like certain, because like I messaged you, I was like, I don't know how much I can like, I don't know, because it's like I'm not like, I would consider they're one of my favorite bands of all time, but like as far as like a fan goes, it's like I'm not like an obsessive dude in a good way, like you know what I mean. But like I'm not one of the like I can talk more about like the music and like kind of like that side of it versus like I guess what other fans like what Reddit people would maybe talk about. You know what I mean? Not like I said, this is not about saying about you. I'm just saying in general, it's like that's my angle. And sometimes I get worried. I'm like, damn, like I said with merch and all this stuff, and like because you have all this cool shit in the background, and I'm like, damn, I don't have like you know what I mean. And like
yeah, but I'm a nerd. Like I'm fully fledged.
Which I think is sick because I mean Deftones is worthy of that to me. You know what I mean? But like my personality with regardless of anything. You know what I mean? My favorite bands of all time, like, well, other than being expensive. Also, I'm listening. I'm just trying to find that shirt for you. But,
sick. Thanks.
Oh, actually, here it is. If you can, I don't know if the.
Oh, I can see it. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, there it goes, dude. That's hard.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't even have one, but yeah, it was 2017.
That's so.
But yeah. So like. But one of the things I was thinking about when you hit me up, I was like, the questions like when or how I got into it. And so it's kind of funny. I wouldn't say I was a late bloomer because I got into them when I was a teenager, but like when someone first showed me them, I was like, this is whack. Like, I don't really fuck with it because it like, I don't know. At the end of the day, as much as we like them, like when I hear people straight up talk shit, I'm like, okay, you're an idiot. But like, I can understand why someone wouldn't like them. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's kind of like, I mean, but I'm also pretty like, I don't know what the word is. I'm pretty understanding, I guess, when it comes to like people disliking shit. Like I'm a hater, but I'm a hater for fun. The real me, I understand why people don't like certain things. So anyways, someone showed me, or this girl, actually, I think this girl, so long ago, it doesn't even matter. But so it showed to me, I was like, this is kind of whack. I think it was like it was like a year or two before Diamond Eyes, maybe even 07, 08 when I was 16. I was like 15, 16. And at that point also, another thing too is I was really into like getting into music, like as being in hardcore and stuff. I got into death metal first. Okay. And also before that, like metalcore and stuff for a second. My first, Norma Jean, I was like dying, but like MySpace, this is mid 2000s. I don't know if you remember, you were in this vibe, but like when I was that young, I was like, I need the most brutal, no singing, fucked up shit ever. So like, that's why I love like death metal, like brutal, like this the crazy shit, a lot of technical stuff. But at that point in my life, I was like, the fuck is this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear singing and like, whatever. I never was like whiny, it never clicked with me. But then I think when Diamond Eyes came out, like it came out, they actually played, I grew up in the Poconos, but I lived in Allentown for a while, and they actually played this place called Croc Rock which at the time for them, it was only, I think it was like a 1,200 cap venue, which is like, which was tiny for them at the time. Because this was like when they just started playing shows after, you know, the whole when she hadn't passed away yet, but you know, they were playing shows again and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it sold out in like a fucking millisecond. So I couldn't go, but that was kind of around that time. And I had a bunch of friends going. So I checked them out around that. It was, like I said, it's kind of, you know, I don't really remember that well, but
sure.
And yeah, it was like, you know, 7-string, like Diamond Eyes, I would say was the first record where, you know, Saturday Night Wrist kind of had a little bit of heaviness, you know, with Rats and all that kind of shit. But like Diamond Eyes was when it like they kind of got a little like heavier, you know. And I was like,
I mean, it was genty. It's chunky, gent. Like those riffs are.
Yeah, but it's
heavy.
Like, I try to like not use that term too much because I mean,
people hate it. People hate gent.
Yeah, it's a dirty word, but
it's a dirty word.
But like, and I don't even hate that kind of shit. I mean.
Me neither.
Whatever, Michigan or whatever. But you know, the whole 8-string, 7-string stuff. Like I thought, you know, it's like, you know, it's not like choppy. You know, you know, what I mean, it's like that's like my shit. You know what I mean? Because it's like even a parallel of like I don't know Pantera, like the kind of groove metal, but it's like super low, yada yada, whatever. But so like that's kind of I would say like 16, 17, 2008, you know, Diamond Eyes era is when I like got into it. But I mean, immediately I looked up the other shit. But the last, I don't know if this is going to be a question I'm answering already. The last record I like fully like, okay, I was like, okay, was Adrenaline actually, which is kind of funny if thinking about the idea of it being like their most like raw record, which is I guess kind of what I would like the most. But that was the last record I got into ultimately. But yeah.
So do you remember what it was like before you got into them when the chick put you on or tried to put you on or whatever? Do you remember what that was that you were like, yeah?
I think it was something off White, you know, like White Pony or like maybe self-titled or something. Really? And which is funny because and White Pony, like I mean, that's another thing too, which I think, I mean, when people try and rank them and try and rank record, try and talk about it, it's like I can't tell you because I don't like. It depends on They have a perfect discography up to Koi no Yoken, but I can't like it's like some days I'll want to listen to Adrenaline, some days I want to listen to White Pony, someday whatever. But I also think like because they're like this is how my brain thinks with like my favorite bands. It's like White Pony very rarely would be my number one record, but Digital Bath is one of my favorite songs ever written, and certain other things in there. But like that's why it's like ranking and like hearing all that kind of stuff. And I'm kind of drifting from the original question, but yeah. So it was earlier stuff, but like White Pony. I mean, because there's like I definitely wouldn't say stinkers, but there's like some. Like, I don't know, if like someone were to play like RX Queen for somebody first, I don't know if that's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It's not something that like I would show somebody because it's like kind of a weirder track. You know what I mean? I don't know. And it also depends on like being older, like depending on who I'm showing it to and what I know they like. Like some people would show Adrenaline, some people would show Saturday Night Wrist because Saturday Night Wrist is like outside of like those 2-3 heavy tracks, it's like super moody, which is one of the reasons why that's honestly a top record most of the time for me.
But you were really initially drawn in by thick, fat, heavy riffs and that groove. Do you play other instruments? Do you play like drums or something, or is that just inclination, like hardcore and rhythmic, sort of the groove sort of sound?
Yeah, I always play guitar growing up and stuff like that. I mean, I play like I could play other things, but I just don't really. You know what I mean? I just kind of focus on that. But yeah, it's like the guitar is what I hear first. And then, I mean, I don't play drums, but like, I like know I could learn drums fast, if that makes sense. So like the first things I hear about things are groove and like time and like kind of how to do that kind of shit. Cause I grew up in a musical family and stuff, and growing up, it's like classic rock and other certain things, like hearing like a lot of like R&B and stuff, like, you know, that kind of like swing, you know, kind of, not saying that's what they sound like, but a groove, kind of like a pocket. Like, I mean, Abe Cunningham is like my favorite, probably, well, I don't know. That's another thing I can't pick, but it's like, like pocket is like so crucial to me. Like pocket drumming is so crucial to me. And like, that's just like the tip of it. You know what I mean?
Masterful. Like, yeah, totally. There's nothing about Abe Cunningham that isn't groovy and like swinging, just kind of like swinging. That's just how it. So that was 2010-ish. You had probably hadn't started Jesus Piece then, right? Because you guys didn't even drop like a split until
2015.
15, yeah.
Yeah, I was 20.
So were you playing in bands and stuff at that time, or were you just sort of still learning to play?
I was in some like local bands and stuff, like super small shit. Like,
was it hardcore?
No, it was more like metalcore, deathcore shit. Actually 7-string stuff. And it's funny, it's definitely wasn't inspired by Deftones stuff, just because at that point, like, we don't need to get, because it's, this is a Deftones podcast, we don't get into my shit, but it's like, it's
no, this is about you too, dog.
well, but it's like that point in my life, 2008 to like 2012, I lived in an area and like I didn't really know anybody that was into the kind of shit I was into specifically, so I kind of just like was in it. And I don't get me wrong, I didn't hate it. Obviously, if I hated it, I wouldn't fucking done it. But like I was just like really into like, like the deathcore, like super heavy, like as whatever. So I had a Stephen Carpenter 7-string for a minute, that kind of shit. But it was never like influenced by Deftones, because at that point, like even with that, I guess a few people liked it, but not enough where, you couldn't like rip it well, like, modern bands do, which they all honestly fail at 9 times.
What do you mean by that? Like just by like knocking off or biting their
yeah,
sound?
like biting their shit. Like no one, like, you know what I mean? At that point, I feel like no one was biting Deftones as like a style, whereas at work now, it's like, I feel like that's like it's like a Chino vocal, like how the vocal laid out would be like a thing. People like when you go into records, like we want to have like this kind of vibe, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I mean, there's literally a working title. Well, it's not anymore, but there was a working title for our new record. One of the songs was called Deftones. So there's no singing in it, but like the first part we came up with was like sounded like what a Deftones part would be. So
are you keeping that? Is that a song that you're gonna?
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite songs on the record.
Yeah.
But it's not. You'll probably know what it is, but it's not like we didn't rip it like on purpose. It was more so just like this sounds like what something they would write, that's kind of how we are in general though. Like for Jesus Piece, it's like as far as influences go, we don't like we specifically try not to rip anything unless there are parts that we like very blatantly rip, but like overall we don't. It's always like this is something that would sound like it, but not like, how bands will just take a riff and like change like a one note or one part. It'd be like whatever. I don't like doing that. So outside of like, very specific parts like that we did in Only Self, but for the new stuff, yeah, it's pretty similar to, but that's the working title. So, but yeah, outside of that, like early shit, like when I was getting into it, for that 4 or 5 year period, I didn't even play in a band for like 3 or 4 years after that, just because there was no one really like worth playing with, and I wasn't really into it. I had nothing to, whatever. But growing up, teenager in the young 20s, it's, outside of like this is cool or whatever, it was never like a thing that anyone tried to do.
You mentioned it, so I gotta ask, can you tell me anything about the new JP record? Like what's going on with it? What's up with it? This conversation will probably come out in the next April or May, probably. So
yeah. No, I mean, there's nothing. By that time, it's probably be the same thing. The record's done. It's just like, I mean, we're doing the fine details now, but for all intents and purposes, it's done.
You stoked on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. But like, I also know, we'll see. It sounds really great. I love it, obviously, but it's definitely a little. It's not Only Self. It's not old shit. It's. I wouldn't even, the classic, like it's more mature. I wouldn't even call it more mature. It's honestly dumber. So like, but in a good way.
We went backwards while moving forwards.
Yeah, exactly. Because we took a step back, and because Only Self, when we were writing it, I mean, actually, I will say because speaking of what I just said about taking parts, the end of the first track off of our last record, Only Self, into the second track, and that's why it's actually kind of sick that I turn it this way. In Rats, dun 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 dun, and then there's the and then the tom part.
Yeah.
End of our first track into the second track of our last record. That is exactly what I planned on doing. I taking that vibe and doing that, which I did.
That's super dope.
If you listen back at it.
Oh, I'm totally gonna go listen back to it. Yeah, as soon as we get off, I'm totally gonna go listen to that. That's what's up.
But yeah, record's done. It's awesome. You know, we wanted to be more accessible, as dumb as that sounds. You know what I mean? It's just because it's like our last record. I still like it, but we kind of at that point, like, I don't know, just like you talk to any other band, I guess, and they, you know, you talk like the time of your life that when you're writing a record is important to how the record turns out. And in 2017, when we were writing Only Self, it was like, we want to be musicians. We want to make this really like a very dense thing, because at that point people were like, oh, they sound like, you know, I don't even want to name names, but it's like they thought we were just kind of like a chuggy, you know, we're just gonna fucking do this. And we're like, no, we're real deal. And we did that. Record's awesome. I don't have anything against it, but it's like, that's a time and place for that. And then this one, which I'll probably feel the same way about in 4 years, but we were like, we want to be insane, and more breakdowns and more like crowd participation and kind of, you know, like make it a thing like that, but still keeping obviously the essence of what we like and do and shit. So you'll see. I mean, and you know, it's tough to describe it without it being, you know, going into too much detail until
sure. You know, but it does raise some interesting questions for me, things that I've always really wanted to know about Deftones and their songwriting, because the way they sort of make it sound is like, oh, we get in a room and we play, and then we pick the parts that we like and we put it together, and that's the album. You know what I mean? Like, it sort of just happens. And while I'm sure some of that is true, there's way too much intention over like all of their records, especially since Pony, that they feel like they are really thinking about like the way the album like isn't as an album. Let's craft this thing from front to back. Let's create this entire piece. Do you get that sense as well? Do you feel like they're as intentional as I think they are, or that they're, you know, going in there and making songs and then, oh, a riff happened, let's do that?
Well, so that's like an interesting question, because it's like so I don't know, is that something that like Stefan or Chino or them have said before? Because that would make sense to me, because for us as someone, we have the same approach. I hate writing on a computer. I suck at it. I hate writing by myself. I suck at it. I need a drummer to write anything. And the way that our last record was written, the way that everything before that was written, the way that this one was written was, we go to a place and we sit there for a few hours a day and we just like jam out. Obviously you bring certain things here and there, but ultimately you jam it out, you figure it out, and then you have a skeleton of one thing, then you move on, and then you come back to that skeleton or whatever, and it takes, you know, whatever. Now they're a bigger band, and I would assume it's like they you know, their families and they're older, so I feel like a lot of bands in that realm, like they'll like take a month or two and do it every day, like an 8-hour job kind of thing, which is different than for us, because it's obviously a job, you know, you can't just do that. But for that, it's like going in, and that makes total sense now, and like listening back, but moving forward, it's like our record now was the first time we've ever like, we booked a month, we went in, we like broke down the songs, we like picked them apart, rewrote them, kind of, you know, not rewrite, but, you know, really fine tune it, and then you pre-pro them, and then you listen back, and then you start actually, you know, there's a bunch of steps. So it's like, if, like, I'm going off of what you kind of just told me, if that's what they say, it's like the intentional, it's like there's a perfect a synthesis of like writing the raw shit that you fuck with, and then going into a studio and like picking it apart with like a fifth or sixth ear to like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? That's like, I could totally hear that for like some of these records. Diamond Eyes, I don't know, because there's Diamond Eyes, and then what's the totally forgetting what's the name of the unreleased record, the Chi record that's unreleased? Eros. Like I feel like Diamond Eyes and Eros was kind of like maybe a little more fuck it, however you want to describe it, because it's like that sounds super. It's I mean, Diamond Eyes sounds good, but to me it's a very raw, like the structure and the way the record flow, it's a very raw thing. But like Koi no Yokin, for sure, you know, that's a record that seems very intentional. There's certain things going on, like I don't know, but it's like is it Rose? The tap, like that, whatever it is. I think it's Rosemary maybe, but like hearing that, it's like I could totally hear like noodling around with that riff, and then in a room, and then being like, oh, what if we did this? Because I know all of them play guitar and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, that's like, I feel like that's almost, with the exceptions, especially for older bands, not us, but like for Deftones era, maybe 90s or early 2000s bands, it's like the getting into the room and just doing it and then going in and whatever, to me, as far as I know, is like, this is very like, that is a very like common way to do it. Some bands pulled off where it sounds like it's just like a, you know, it is what it is. But with them, it's like I hear it and like, I mean, I don't know, like you would probably know better than I would. I know like Self-Titled, that era, they were all kind of, they didn't like each other, you know what I mean? And Saturday Night Wrist after that too, I think they also.
Yeah, that was, I think, when they were furthest apart. I think the beginning was of the Dark Times or whatever was the Self-Titled, and then the Fit Hit the Shan at Saturday Night Wrist.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, but you could hear kind of the difference of like, you know, Pony, which was 2000 or 99, I forget. Anyways, 2000. 2000. Pony to Self-Titled, that 3-year difference. You could hear how that changes. You know what I mean?
What do you mean by that?
Well, just for this, like, I mean, Pony just sounds super, like, it sounds like a record that was written together, and Self-Titled to me doesn't sound like that. It's still awesome, but I think you can tell there's there's a shift in like kind of the riffs being written. And like I said, I don't know them personally. I've watched, you know, some interviews and stuff, but ultimately, like, I know the general vibe, and that's what I get. I could be wrong, but songwriting, you know, it's all different. It's so different to everybody else, because it's like you hear certain bands or you talk about it, and you know, I have plenty of friends who like tell me that, I just kind of wrote the record on my own and then we just did it, and I was like, oh well, good for you, I guess. I can't do that, but you know, it's like, but it'll come out that way, and I wouldn't know how it would sound otherwise. So, you know, if you have insight about.
Oh, no, that's part of what this podcast is all about, is sort of exploring what that is, because they're super, I mean, there have been moments, of course, through their history where they like divulge things and reveal things, but 9 out of 10 things about the band they have behind closed doors. And I think that too is intentional in terms of keeping the mystery alive and that sort of thing, you know, allowing people to experience the music in their own way. And that sort of stuff has been addressed before, but it's interesting to me to get a songwriter's perspective, a musician's perspective on that experience, because that's the insight that I sort of get off on, especially, is like how these songs are crafted, and then the lives that they take as they evolve, like live, because as you know, the music changes when you're playing it, and as you play it, and as you play it, as you play it. So those sorts of things are really interesting to me.
Yeah, you know, but I mean? And it's sick, but like I honestly wish I wish I would have watched a bunch of interviews before this pod, or I should just be doing it in general, but because it's so tough to, like, you know, I don't want to project how I do things onto how they would do things, or I don't want to just guess. Sure. You know, the best way to know is just by telling. But it's like, you know, I have watched like gear rundowns with Stephen Carpenter, and he's like, yeah, I just think it looks cool. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I know exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It totally could just be. It doesn't matter. Like, they just kind of do it, which I can, because I mean, you know, just smoke a shit ton of weed and just go, I think that sounds cool. You know what I mean? I just think it's
worked plenty of times throughout music history. Like, there's lots of evidence.
And clearly for their history, because I mean, like I said, they have, you know, multiple records that are better than anything ever. So it's like, but it's like how you like digital bath. I have no idea how they wrote it. I have no idea what the process was, because it's like I've tried to not totally rip it, but I've tried to listen to it and be think about the structure. It's like intro A, intro B, A, B, you know what I mean? Because that's, how, I think about it in letters like most people, but and it's but it works, and the vocal melodies and stuff. But then again, it's also if you study it too hard, then you lose the, you know what I mean? Just like how when you study for a test too hard, then you it's just letters and numbers. It's I try to not go too deep into that, because then it's I don't hear a song anymore. I just hear a note, a part, or a drum hit. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, you lose the feel of it, the emotion of it. Do you think that's something that's lost in the way people write and record songs, like you were talking about earlier, from people are able to do it from their computer or whatever instead of getting in a room?
No, because there's a few bands, a few specific. I mean, in hardcore, I can't speak on.
Sure.
But in hardcore, there's a few bands that are my favorite right now, that I know for a fact are written essentially as one person sits at the computer and does it, and then they'll jam, but for the most part it's written totally, and it's the shit. But that's I think it's you got to be good at it. It's a certain style, you know what I mean? Less, if you're not jamming as much and shit like that. It's also a distance thing. I mean, the bands that can't, jam as much.
And let's face it, kids are better at computers and shit now than they were in 1989 or whenever they were kids.
Exactly. And it's I'm just getting okay at programming drums to get very basic ideas onto my shit, but I can't. We demoed our record with somebody and they programmed the drums to it, whatever, and it's I don't know how you did that, because it's but yeah, I mean, people that can do that shit are I'm jealous of it. I always say I'm jealous of it. I mean, plenty of guys I know do that shit, but I mean,
it seems like it'd make you super independent and
yeah, which I also don't love, because I struggle with not sending out something I make in the second I make it to be what do you think of this, so I can think about it another way to people I trust or whatever. So I always love collaboration, regardless if it's a band or not a band or whatever. But it's fun. But I don't know if it's the same thing. I don't know if you ever, there's a documentary, a little mini doc or something about, I think it's Ozfest, or I think it's Ozfest, but it's the first one maybe. And it was Linkin Park was on it. It was the one with No Warning was on it too. But Linkin Park was on it, and there's a really cool moment where they're on a bus that, Linkin Park has a bus, and the back of it is a studio. They have a computer. If you look at the video, it's a big ass screen with a tower, and it's they have a studio in the back of their bus so they can write music. And at that point, Meteora and all that kind of stuff, it's they had the electronic, the weird synths and stuff.
Oh, it sounded like it was from the future for sure.
Yeah. So it's they had that thing going on, and I thought that was really cool. So clearly the second the computer people learn how to make music from a computer, it's being implemented to guitar stuff. It's just now you can make a whole song with everything now.
Which is wild. It's super wild. Yeah. And it does seem, I don't know, I'm always curious about that question, about the feel and that sort of thing, because you're talking about collaboration, that's such a, I don't know, it seems like a fundamental part of a necessary part of making music. Something you said earlier too about something the music Up to Koi was the shit or something. I don't remember exactly how you said it, so I don't want to requote you.
They have a perfect discography
up to Koi. What happens is after Koi? Gore is just gore blows. I don't know. What do you say?
Gore and Ohm are fine, but to me they don't feel good. It's just they just don't feel good. And I have nothing against them. I'll be honest with you, actually. I haven't listened to either one probably more than twice, because I don't like the way Gore sounds, the way it's recorded. And I don't know, dude, Oh's just super underwhelming. But it's it's still good, but it's there's 7 other records, or what? I have 5-7 other records that I can listen to that I get what I need. But I love even though it's technically not new, the remix, the White Pony remixes and stuff. Those are those are fucking awesome. So like, there's more stuff I can listen to. Because yeah, I mean, I love half the artists who did them and stuff like that. But I mean, some of those remixes are fucking awesome. So
I agree. I think so too. And I feel like a lot of people were expecting the songs to sound more like the songs instead of the artist's interpretations of the songs. Do you feel me?
I mean, that's like, there's like a difference between like a listener who's like mad, like, well, easiest way I can say is like mad guitar music about it. It's like the guitar, they don't like, computer, like electronic music. I love like electronic music. I always listen to electronic music more than I listen to guitar music now. But like, like the Square Pusher track and like, I mean, Purity Ring, there's like a lot of bands on there that are normal bands, but the Shinoda remix is fucking awesome. And I don't even love Linkin Park like that, but like Purity Ring, that one. There's one that is like so good. It kind of has like I don't know the artist. I'll look it up while we're talking, but like, yeah, like it's so good. And because it's kind of like a garage beat, like or whatever on it, and I'm like, that's
trying to think about it.
Fucking awesome. Taurus, the Change remix, I think. Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, dude.
It's like a kind of like a modern garagey sound. Like garage music is like a type of dance music, whatever. But like the shuffle, and it's like, I'm a sucker, like garage. I love drum and bass and jungle and stuff. So any type of like real like kind of shuffly, breaky, whatever, it's so good. But like the idea of putting that into like having a Deftones melody, like dude, that's like a perfect synthesis of the shit I love. So it's like, why would I not love that? But I get why, some fucking dickhead who like loves old shit. They're like, it wasn't like, this is fucking whack. But yeah. I don't like, my clicks aren't like that, so I didn't even know if people disliked. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm the nerd, but I think between the two of us, who's like doing that research and you know what I mean. Like, what is it? What do the comments say? What are people saying about this one? And to that point, like what you're saying about Gore and the sound quality on Gore is also actually pretty consistent with the fan base.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember reading or like I said, I don't go too deep into it. Didn't they record it? Maybe was there a situation that they did that differently in? I think. Maybe.
Well, my understanding is that when it came out, Stefan sort of said something kind of sideways about it. So then they spent a lot of time backpedaling and being like, well, it wasn't that he wasn't a part of the album, but we wanted to get him in more, and so that's the album that sort of like. Stefan didn't have as heavy a hand in, and it was mainly written by Chino and Sergio. That's my understanding. But at the same time, within the past couple of years, I've learned that Stefan did in fact write, like he wrote Phantom Bride, like he wrote like tracks on there. Obviously, he didn't write the guitar solo. That's Jerry Cantrell, but there are other parts of there where it's clearly that's Stephen Carpenter doing Stephen Carpenter. But to the sonic quality of it, like that sound, what do you think they were doing? What were they?
I would have to like re-listen to it and really like, that's like I wish I did that fucking research, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I listened to it like a few times.
Yeah,
like,
you've only listened to it a couple of times.
Like, yeah, like it sounds like everything is super. It sounds like it's recorded in a big room, and it's not like tight. And don't get me wrong. I mean, they could sound raw, but like it's not like all this kind of stuff. Like, sorry, I'm playing this shit over the fucking.
No, you're good.
But like, yeah, Phantom Breaks.
I'll get the rights for all this shit. No.
Yeah, dude, it doesn't sound good. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I mean,
sure.
I could probably pick, if I listen to it again and pick it apart. But like, let me take that back. It doesn't sound right. It sounds good. Obviously, it sounds good, but like, it doesn't sound right for them. And knowing, I don't know. It's weird because, like I said, like, I mean, Diamond Eye sounds like pristine. Koi does too, but then, like, I would say, like, I guess before it's like, I don't know, it's Saturday Night Wrist sounds kind of raw, sort of self-titled, but it's also I don't know if they recorded digitally or not, or
no, I think a lot of that stuff was done via email or something in Saturday Night Wrist, or at least I know they were doing a lot of it separately. So maybe not. They might have been recording and then sending each other stuff, but
yeah, to me it's just a real reverby, real kind of like,
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, like, bands can experiment all they want, and like, think sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And like I said,
but that is a decision that you make, right? Like, in order to achieve, like, we like this quality of sound.
You wouldn't put it out if you didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? So clearly they heard something in it that they liked, and sometimes also those types of decisions, like, they grow. So it's like a record comes out, it sounded like, people didn't like it, but then 10 years later they come back to it and it's like, okay, this now it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Sort of like Saturday Night Wrist.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, I wasn't really into them at the time.
Yeah, not that time, yeah.
But it's like, hearing it, it's like I could understand why going from the transition, self-titled, from Pony to self-titled to Saturday Night Wrist, how a fan could feel alienated. But sonically speaking, with that one, I when it came out, I didn't fuck with it. Like, sonically, musically, it was like fine. You know what I mean? Because it's another thing too. Another like thing I look for in music for most things, which is like the catchiness is, like, I guess the easiest term, but it's like nothing on that record, like none of the songs like captured me. There's no track. If at least the record, I didn't love that there wasn't like a track, you know what I mean? And I think, like, what the big single was Prayers Triangles.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's fine, but
yeah, it's not a hooky album at all.
Yeah. And sometimes that's okay. And sometimes it's okay. But like for them, I need a little bit of that. I'll just a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like every track on Corneliokin, there's like a fucking sick hook, whether it's vocal or guitar wise. Same with Diamond Eyes. I mean, there's even with Diamond Eyes, it's sick because it's like you can listen to the first half of the record, the first like 6 songs. That's the heavy side for me. Then the second side is like with like 978 Evil and Beauty School. That's when they get kind of vibey. You know what I mean? So it's like and even with that, it's like you can tell they also picked the track listing a certain way, I assume. But it's like with or with Gore and with Ohm I listen to even less, honestly, because
I mean, it's plural, it's ohms.
Ohm, sorry, my fault.
I'm just fucking. It is, but I'm just fucking.
But
yeah,
just, I don't know.
That's I totally get that and respect that, and I think that speaks to some, I think, part of the voice of the fan base. I don't know. I loved it, but I'm kind of biased. I really love all of them, but I thought Ohms was their best. I thought it's super, like, it surpassed the rest of the catalog. To me, like, the 3 tentpole albums are White Pony, Diamond Eyes, and Ohms at this point. I think Ohms is that good. I think it's a dance record disguised as a metal record. And
to me.
Yeah, I know. And I've been entertaining this.
I gotta re-listen to it. Since you said that, because I've never met somebody who have said that, and like, because like 10 records. I mean, mine is Around the Fur. Mine would be Around the Fur, Diamond Eyes. Damn, I can't. The third one I don't even know, because it's like I want to say White Pony, but like I was telling you before, like, that whole record's amazing from front to back, but it's like Digital Bath is one of the best songs I've ever written. Pink Maggot is one of my favorite songs. And there's a few tracks within it, but like, I don't know if I could, if like you're like a desert island thing, if White Pony would be there. Cause it's like Saturday Night Wrist might be my third one, because like, that's like, from front, like Beware, Cherry Waves, Rats, like there's so many songs on that. Whereas like there's four tracks that transcend greatness on White, Whereas like with Saturday, it's like feels like a record to me, you know?
Wow, that's a really interesting take. I'm always really fascinated by people who love Saturday Night Wrist. Like I want to study you and I want to figure out, like I want to open up your brain and figure out like, okay, what is the thing that I am not possessing? And I think it is experience. I think it's because I remember being so like burnt up about what is happening with my favorite band.
Mhm.
Are they gonna make it? Is there going to be an album? You know, what is this? What is this?
You just said Diamond Eyes was a 10 record for you.
Yeah.
Think about what I said before when it's like the last half of that record is like the vibe side, like,
Sure.
you know, all that stuff. Think about that, but think about that in a term of every track of Saturday Night Wrist minus like
Mian with Surge. That's the only one that just for me, and that to me poops that album.
Okay, here's another hot take that I feel like everyone always gets pissed off. I fucking hate Tool. Passenger is an amazing track. His vocals fucking ruin it for me, and I hate it for it. I want that track without him on it, and it'd be a perfect track. Mine or whatever. System of a Down, one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah.
His vocals on that fucking smoke.
Word.
Maynard James, whatever his fucking name is. It's smoke it, and it's amazing. But yeah, that's another thing too. Whew, that shit is so good. But yeah, Passenger, that's another White Pony thing that like kind of makes it not a staple, which is that track is ruined by his voice to me.
Damn, that's really interesting, dude. That is a hot take. I don't know that anybody has ever said that before. And I'm not a giant Tool. I'm not really even a medium-sized Tool fan. Like they're cool. And I think the song, especially as Chino has learned to really master that song in its entirety live, like doing both of those parts, is better as just
I'm sure there are so many other people that could sing that part so much cooler. But like I said, there are Tool fans that are obsessive Tool fans and like, you know, whatever. I am, like I said, I'm being a little bit of I want to say I'm exaggerating, but I'm really not. Like I really hate it. The way his like vocal fry and his rasp comes out and stuff, it ruins it for me. But it's like one of the best, like musically, it's like one of the best songs. It's so fucking good. And actually, that's like a bummer. I hate even thinking about it because it's like it should be awesome, but it's not. It really isn't. That's just me.
That is the fucking coolest shit ever. I know you gotta get moving pretty soon. So I'm going to wrap us up with the question that I end all of these podcasts with, and that is a request for 3 recommendations. Although we can freestyle it if you got 2, that's dope. And that's for anything. This is based on something that Chino said on a podcast once, that he only tweets out links to songs that he likes on YouTube because he thinks that's the coolest shit that people could get from him on social media. So in that spirit, put me on to 3 things. I know it's a bit loaded and it's definitely put you on the spot, but winging it. And it doesn't have to necessarily be music either. It's not limited to anything. If there's a book you like, a movie you like, or not media, if it's I don't know, a motorcycle or a car, or, I don't know, whatever 3 things that you think people should check out.
All right. Well, one, I want to say that I follow Chino on Twitter, and that is the coolest thing you can do. And I wish I had the mental fortitude to do that. But
your shit is hard though too, because you are doctoring your photos all the time. You're doing the face apps or whatever. That shit goes.
I like being silly, and like I like, you know, talking. Like my Twitter is, I recently logged out of it, and I only post and exit out now. But I like shit posting or whatever you want to say. I don't know. Like I like being funny on the internet, I guess. But anyways, 3 things. Okay, so I mean, it is a loaded question, and that's definitely like a think question. But I mean, just because I listened to it yesterday, when I can't think of something that I want to listen to, and there's a few of them, but because I listened to it yesterday, I'll recommend the album Drugs by Aphex Twin from front to back, because it's just, I don't know, it's a perfect record. There is so much you can get from it to understand electronic music as a whole. In my opinion, it has ambience, it has breaky, it has a lot of, it's a classic perfect record. But I think if you, I don't want to, it's weird, I don't want to say to get into electronic music, but that's like a Mount Rushmore record for me, for sure.
Awesome.
I would recommend, yeah, I don't know, yeah, I'll just fuck it, I'll do this right now. Les Pauls. Play a Les Paul.
Hell yeah.
Don't be whack. Play a Les Paul.
Don't be whack. Play a Les Paul. Maybe
don't play it. And it's funny because Stephen Carpenter has one. Don't play a Telecaster if you're playing heavy music.
Wait, why?
Because it looks stupid. If anything, it just looks stupid. Yeah, it doesn't sound good either, but it specifically looks stupid.
Oh, that kicks ass. I really wish we would have budgeted a little more time to talk about guitar playing and stuff like that, because it would be really cool to get you to hear your breakdown of I mean, I know that Stephen Carpenter, well, he says he plays the same 3 riffs in just different places on the guitar or something like that's
I mean, there's like the classic, like, I mean, like I said, I'm not super in a rush or anything, but like it's I mean, the quintessential I mean, that's literally like Digital Bath is just those 2 chords forever. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of right, but there's more to it than that. But yeah.
But it's pretty interesting to me how people who claim to be so who are not great players, so to speak, can still somehow manage to put together a 10 album catalog. You know what I mean? Like,
I think I'm not him, but that's how I am. I can't shred. I care way more about songwriting and way more about feeling. And like, like I said, if there's more, I'll come back on and talk more about it if you ever want me to, but like, for songwriting specifically, my whole mantra is I want to paint a picture with a song, not like put a bunch of riffs together and make it cool. Like there's genres to do that with, but like, for me, it's like I'd much rather have like a vibe, an energy than like a one cool riff that I can shred over,
Man, I think that's maybe the most insightful sort of like if I'm extrapolating that onto Stephen Carpenter's songwriting, like that might be more insightful than a lot of other, I don't know, guesses that I could have had at it. You know what I mean?
I mean, like I said, you know more than me as far as that goes, but I mean, that's just like what's important to me. And I'm sure, it's important to him, considering thinking about how he plays guitar. It's like, he knows what he likes and he makes it good,
He thinks Maynard ruined Passenger. I think that's just super fun. I also love that he enjoyed the Black Stallion remixes. I really feel like we need to keep talking about how great they are and how special that release is. It was also really fun to entertain what Deftones' songwriting process is like through the lens of Jesus Piece. I really appreciate anything that makes me feel closer to understanding how all my favorite songs got written. Like what he said about Gore and how some choices grow. I found that really insightful. So, thank you, Dave. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm super excited to hear the new music from Jesus Piece, and I really appreciate your contribution to this podcast. Next week, you'll hear my conversation with Justine Jones from Employed to Serve. At the beginning of the pandemic, she performed Elite for the Slay at Home Festival, so if you haven't seen that, check it out before the episode drops. My name is Woody. You can find me at Woodbruh on Instagram and Twitter. I'm on Facebook, but don't add me. Facebook sucks. I don't want to be on it. Thank you for listening to Deftones, and thanks for listening to Change in the House of Pods.